When I went to buy the first 8-ball and he told me how much it was, I said, oh, I'll be back.
Hello to whoever you are, wherever you may be listening, and welcome to This Is Your Moment podcast, hosted by TiYM Network.
My name is Joe, and I will be 66 October 14th.
I'm over Claude, and I am 78.
I'm Ty Valentino, and I am 28.
My name is TiYM Kelly, and I'm 26.
For me, they don't do anything because I don't get on them. I'd rather have conversation. I like dialogue. If I make a contact on a dating app, then I want to see you out, not at my house or not at yours, because I'm very cautious now in my senior years.
When you mentioned apps, the first thing that came to my mind was the AOL chat, which kind of dates myself. So we went from AOL chat, where you actually were communicating with people and you got a chance to meet people outside of your own circle. But now they're upgrades, so now you have this on your phone, and it's just this upgrade of something that's been around for 20 plus years.
And plus people use a lot of filters that are unreal.
Yes. But the online upgrade also was a thing of the chats allowed you to actually meet people. So you got a chance to meet people, not necessarily in your area, but the upgrade part is now so we can fly around the world and we can do a lot of things that we might not have done before because of technology.
It broadens the scope.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone, but a very high percentage of the people don't use it for the way it's supposed to be sold to us. So.
So I said a waste of time, mostly because I feel like you lose that quality of meeting somebody in person, or like the value of what you can get. And also like what Claude said, people have like filters or like use old pictures or like fake pictures in general. So like, it's just, for me, you spend so much time trying to figure out somebody over this app when you could be out doing something, meeting somebody in person.
I feel like the girls know something, but they don't know certain stuff. And that's just come from me working in public health, knowing, like, talking to people and knowing they don't know what I consider the basics. And
So you say it's a fact.
yeah, I think it's the fact.
I think it's factual, but it's not a fact, because there are people like yourself that work in public health that know, and then there are those that believe the new drug like PrEP and PrEP, they believe some of them have taken it out of context. It's not a cure, and it's not going to protect you 100%. And so they go on that and don't do any research, or they have not connected to people that have dealt with HIV. Mm-hmm. And I think that some of my generation is responsible for that, because I've been positive almost 35, 36 years. So for a long time, I worked for an HIV agency, and people didn't know I was positive. They just thought I was an advocate because I didn't talk about it. And that goes what we talk about, the stigma that came along with it.
I would piggyback off that. One of the things, and I think to the question, is that I don't want to say it's a fact or a myth. Lack of knowledge tends to be misconstrued. I think that, so if you're 20, if you're under 30, you might not have had the experience or the exposure, someone older. You might have heard some information, but it's not part of your norm every day in your life that you're going to walk around all day long and say, oh, are you HIV positive or not? Because you're doing a number of things. You're engaging with people, and it just may happen that you seroconvert, and now you're going to join this learning journey. Mm-hmm. But it might not have been part of your norm in operation.
And how many of us have not shared our stories or don't share our stories?
Yeah, and so, you may hear of it, but it's not something that you just advocate. It's not something that you just run out and advocate that I have to be knowledgeable about.
Right.
And the reason why I say that it's not, I think that I would never want to tell someone, ooh, because you're young and you just found it, how come you don't know? Because that sounds detrimental as opposed to...
judgmental.
And judgmental, as opposed to let's have a conversation so you might, hopefully will make decisions that I might not have done and other people that I know did so that you don't travel down that same path. So fact or fiction, I think there's learning opportunity with that.
And we don't share enough.
Yeah.
We don't have those conversations like you said.
Right.
You know.
I think you picked up on a big point is that like your lived experience is different. So like the older generation had like it was an epidemic, you know, it was like this huge thing where you, like a lot of people were lost, you know, you had close friends, so you experience it in a different way, but also that kind of can close you off from like sharing your experiences with the younger generation.
Absolutely.
So I think you touched on like very two big things.
Absolutely. He touched on something that's very key that we've been addressing, that when you have the experience, it's important to share. Sometimes you don't want to share because you start to relive some of those memories and they're all not that well. And how do you share something with someone and you don't know if they're going to put a wall up or they're going to be open to receive it? Excuse me, but one of the things that we've been talking about is how do we have those conversations with people, especially if wherever you are in the spectrum of your diagnoses, how do we have that conversation with you and allow you and provide you information that will allow you to hopefully make some decisions that you don't make if you didn't have and weren't armed with that.
And to allow that experience to be real and not judged and not condemned.
Exactly.
Myth.
I find it both.
Well, okay.
It's situational.
Okay, we'll take that.
It's situational. Yeah, we'll take that. And the reason I can't call it a myth is because it's real. But we often look at it. But we often look at it from one side of the fence. Like we were gonna have a discussion about older men preying on younger men, but they didn't want to talk about the younger men that see us as ATM machines.
Yeah.
So I find that to be situational.
I like the word situational. I would sway that it's not factual, but it's definitely situational. And I also think that it's real because there are older men that find younger men attractive, period. And then there are younger men who find older men attractive, period. And there's a natural attraction there.
Right. No, I can't remote.
Right, but there does come that opportunity where there are ulterior motives.
And both of my long-time relationship, one was 15 years and one was 13 years. They were both 16 years younger than me, and they pursued me. I didn't want to be bothered. I mean, well, I want to be bothered, but not bothered.
Come on, Cougar, you want to be bothered.
But I wasn't looking for a relationship because I didn't think that they had the maturity level to be in a relationship with me. And I was reminded the other day that the one that I broke up with because I felt he was too young reminded me, but the guy you married was the same age as I. And that messed with me.
So time changed. Time changed how you felt.
I don't think it was so much time. I think it was personality.
Personalities? Okay.
I think it was personality.
Okay. Yeah.
The one that I broke up with was too independent.
Right.
For me.
Right.
I wanted to control things.
Right.
I have control issues, or I had control issues. Now I can't control my own self. But at that point, time, I wanted to be. I felt that I had more to bring to the table than they did, and never allowed myself to look at the fact. But we're both bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
So
that's what makes it situational.
Exactly.
I also want to add in the fact just about like, because I slightly, so I don't think it's factual. I think there is the realness, but I think also there's some like generational stuff there too as well. Just like, you know, like a younger gay man seeking someone older because they look for like validation or like, validation from somebody or like to learn from somebody because they may not have had that in their family or like someone that's supportive. So now they're trying to look for that love or that validation outside sources. And I also do think that like there are some cases where a lot of older guys would take advantage of that situation, you know, so it's like it can be like a double-edged sword at times.
And it is.
But yeah.
Yeah. But you said something about validation. I had to learn to move away from validation and look for what brings stability to this. Because if I need you to validate me, then when you're gone,
What am I?
I'm still stumbling.
Exactly.
What am I doing?
Right.
I think that most people should just mind their business. If you're not the young person or the old person in the relationship, you shouldn't have opinions on it unless you was asked. And if you was asked, then that was by apparently somebody in the relationship. But if you're not in a relationship, you can cast judgment because just what you see is not what they are 24/7 or what they have going. So it's really none of our business. Now, if we're talking about our own personal relationships, yes, I've dated older men. I enjoy it. I have no problem with it. I got an older soul anyway.
You're not 28.
But I think as a community, we need to have this type of dialogue more often and make it normalized two people getting together, loving each other, or discovering love with all of those, without the barriers that society has put on it.
Yeah.
I think also like authenticity. So like between the two people that's in the relationship or connection, being authentic about like what they want, what they're seeking from that person, and also just like realizing your own personal intentions and why you're in this situation, you know, and being real with yourself. Because it could be to feel younger, it could be to get some type of monetary value, you know, just like, and that other person may be able to provide you that, but being able to vocalize that and be open and authentic about what this is and what you're looking for, you know. And I think that's where a lot of things get missed, where people aren't honest about what they want or what they need in their life, you know. So I think...
But that dynamic can exist if you're the same age.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because we both can be 80-year-olds and you bring a financial stability that I didn't have.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing, a similar question was asked like that at the Oprah Roundtable. And for those who don't know, Oprah Roundtable is just where there's a group of men over 50 sit and talk about topics in general, or we just have specific topics. But that the topic often comes up and arises about, you know, relationships between the ages. And one of the guys was expressing his concern about how he felt about the age gap. And someone just clapped back and said, "So are you concerned or are you jealous?" And it shut the whole conversation down because sometimes that's real, that you want what you see because that's genuine and you don't have that. And you may not know how to pursue that.
So you judge it. And your judgment becomes venom.
Right. And then you cloud your judgment about a number of things.
And it could be happening to you as you speak.
Exactly.
But you're so bitter about what you're jealous of or what you see somebody else having that you turn around and demonize the whole situation. And oftentimes people, and it doesn't matter what the relationship type is, heterosexual, homosexual, gay, straight, whatever, you don't know what two people are actually putting together and working on to establish something to move forward. That at a certain point of time, you may want to ask someone, you know, are you comfortable sharing how this works for you? Because I just want to know. I just want to, having a conversation.
Exactly. Because sometimes they may, you may hear something that will shock you.
Yeah, and if you're not open to having a conversation, mind your business.
Mind your business.
Because it depends on who's that person asking, because everybody shouldn't be asking. Right. It's just like asking who you land with.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Like, that's my private life.
Yeah, exactly. See, there's a difference in secret and private. Secret is usually what you don't have no damn business doing. Private, it just ain't your business.
Ain't your business.
And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. It just ain't your business.
Not your business.
I think the biggest difference thinking back then and now was the fear of being rejected, the fear of dying, the fear of infecting someone else. And so I believe that as we came into the reality of HIV being part of the black community, because when it was in the news, it was a white gay disease, white cancer, yes. And I didn't think about it because I didn't sleep with white men, so I couldn't be infected.
Couldn't be related.
Then when it came full circle, I believe that the fear, if I told you, you wasn't going to want me, so rejection kept me at a distance. And then if I got involved, I was afraid of telling you because you would leave me. Mm-hmm. So I think today with the younger generation, there's more knowledge, but there's also a lot of misinformation out there. And I think people embrace it differently. They are bolder. They are freer because being undetectable gives them a safety net that I didn't have.
I would say knowledge. That would be the difference. And the reason why I can just imagine y'all generation, it was new to you guys. It was something y'all never known. Y'all didn't have any backstory. It was literally something y'all were learning as the days turned. For my generation, we had all y'all history. And so some of the stuff that still comes out of my generation is kind of like, you knew you had this setup, you had this resources, you had this knowledge, and you still, I'm not going to say failed, because failed is a big word.
Failed is a big word. And then just because the knowledge is there, don't mean you had it.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But it was accessible. Mind you, we
created the knowledge. We a lot of us would go to the doctor and educate our doctors because some of our doctors didn't have as much knowledge as we did. We had to do research for ourselves.
Right. That's what I was going to add. That one of the differences I see is that when the epidemic first started, there was this huge fear because there was a lot of unknown. The only thing you knew when they finally did come up with something was you took a pill that was killing them. AZT, it took them out immediately. So there was this fear of the unknown because you didn't know what was going on, because you didn't know there was something that could help you. Time has marched on. We now have the cocktails, antiretrovirals, however you want to call it. So now the unknown is lessened a great deal, hasn't been removed, but I think the difference is that we as someone older, I come from a point, or I talk from a point where the fear of the unknown was huge. I do think there are, and I can't speak for all young people, I definitely wouldn't speak for this group, but I do know some young people who walk around and they have absolutely no fear whatsoever.
None.
They feel that I can take the pill, I can get the shot, and I'm Superman. So there's an opportunity for some further education, but we didn't even have that. And I can't tell anybody. I can't tell anybody.
I can't tell my family. And when I was diagnosed, I went to the public health department because I feared if it was positive, I would be fired. Well, I went twice and never went back and got my results. When I got tested at Kaiser, I got the results over the phone.
Yeah. That method of notification.
I mean, there was no protocols then. So we found out it was haphazard, and we did our own research.
I think there's still a lot of fear, honestly. I think a lot of it, I think within our community, we can share knowledge, we can have these conversations. But when we think about the people that raised us, our families, they aren't necessarily part of this community. So we're a lot of times raised with these biases or just these false beliefs, and then we come into this lifestyle still with those beliefs and having to unlearn them and relearn new habits and new ways of thinking and approaching stuff and having conversations. So I do think there's still a lot of fear, but it's not justified fear, right? I think we're also in a space where we're trying to educate people more, to let people know that this is not, it's not a death sentence. It's, there's so much more support. There's communities out there. I think that's the biggest thing. But I do want to say, because just even thinking about some friends that are new to the community who have had these lessons taught to them or told to them, but now basically thinking that you can get HIV from just kissing or any small things. It's because someone else has it. But a lot of that is just that generational trauma.
But I always gonna keep saying this. People can find out what they want to find out. Just like if you wanted to know when the next plane from here to New York was, the first thing you're going to do is pull out your phone and Google it. So these smartphones have everything possible you want. If they wanted to know the information.
So if they don't want to know, why they don't want to know? There's a fear.
The fear behind knowing it. Sometimes choosing to be dumb is easier than
because then you don't have to be responsible for your behavior.
Yeah.
So accountability is a big issue, and then we deal with fear. We deal with fear. Then those of us that had to face it on our own, we held ourselves accountable and became responsible. But even knowing what to do and what not to do, we still feared you knowing. I feared you knowing. Oh, I can't tell my mother this. Oh, I can't tell my aunt she'd be praying and throwing water and holy oil and books at me forever. So I kept it to myself.
The other thing on that is when you talk about the fear, it's not just limited to young people, because now we're at the age in 2025 where you have a lot of seniors who they're no longer married, they're single, you have a single household, and you have your youth because you go take a pill. So now you have seniors running around, especially in senior citizens' homes, who are banging each other left and right. So now there's another opportunity for learning, but that fear still comes into place because they feel that they can't contract any sexual disease because they're older. And the other thing is, who cares? I'm closer to death than I was 40 years ago.
Yeah, so what's it going to do to me?
Right, so there's this other nuances now come into place where the information still needs to be consistent, but the narratives need to change because the audience has grown in a different capacity.
It has, because we're living longer with
it. And it still comes back to the fear, because even if you tell people, am I going to go look at that app? Am I going to go look? Mm-hmm. I may not want to go look.
There are mentors, but I'm talking to the older generation, my generation, and I talk to myself all the time. I need to know the difference in being a mentor and a seducer.
And a groomer.
If I can't separate those two, I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mess up somebody's life. So if I'm mentoring you and we get into a space where we're going to cross that line, I can no longer be your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So it exists.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it exists. For me, I try to change the narrative and not say a mentor. It should be some type of intergenerational network, similar to this, where we're having dialogue with individuals, and it's dialogue that we're going to learn from each other, because the mentorship shouldn't just be in one way. It should not be unilateral. It should be bidirectional. I should be able to
learn
have a conversation with both ties, and they learn something from me, and in turn, I should be able to listen to both ties and learn something from them. Because in that form, I think it's not necessarily, that word mentor tends to put this stigma around people. But for me, if I say it's an intergenerational conversation, then I allow and I open the opportunity for us to sit and have a conversation back and forth, and also allow that conversation to say, and what you share with me, I'm going to receive that. I think it exists, but I think that Claude touched on it, that there has to be this barrier, or there has to be this definition that says, we're having this dialogue and I'm not going to seduce you.
Right, I'm not going to cross your boundaries.
Right.
Setting those boundaries. Yeah. And if a natural attraction occurs, then we have to have another dialogue. Right. We have to have another discussion.
Because it's real.
Yeah, because what does this look like? What does this mean to you?
Yes.
What is this about?
Yes.
And in that thing, I hate sugar daddy, but I know they exist.
Exactly.
I know they exist, but if I'm in a financial situation that I can augment your life, enhance your life, and I say I'm in love with you, or I like you, and I do that willingly, that's one thing. But if I have to pay for your attention, then I've just made you a prostitute. And if
We're both okay with that.
But if we're both okay with it,
Right.
But the thing is, if that's the situation, and you know somewhere I have to have this brain fog, and I don't understand what's going on or won't own up to it,
yes.
Then you have manipulated me, but I have allowed it.
Yes.
And I think that's where that accountability and responsibility comes into play.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also like having a social network. Think of it as that form versus just like putting all your eggs in one basket and expecting this one person to provide you with, you know, the whole future of your life and like guide you that whole way. But like realizing that one person may just be a part of your journey and not, you know, they're not your journey. They're just a piece of it to support you and push you forward. You know, they may be there for years to come, but I think it's also just about like continuing to meet people that are not like you, that may be in a different generation, different race, you know, all that kind of stuff, just to be able to get exposure in different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
I literally can say this. I was 15 speaking in the clubs. Like, I had a fake ID. I was big. Like, it worked. Like,
So was I, yeah.
Yeah, so I was 15 speaking in clubs. When I was 15, I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking. I was going to clubs because I was already still in my parents' car. So I need to be doing no extra shit. But I'll never forget the first day I went to the shack and I had to pee. And I went to went to the bathroom and I had to pee. The girl was like, "Come on, you can come and use the restroom in here." And while I'm peeing, it's a transsexual and like 3 other like bitch queens doing coke while I'm peeing. My first experience, first time we got to the club 15. And so I say that to say that now being 28, last week I saw somebody doing coke on the dance floor. And so the whole understanding of how it used to be something that we knew the girls did, but it was like hid. Now the girls are okay with it.
It all depends on where they were, because that's not new.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Being on the dance floor is not new.
It's not new.
It was very much like...
No.
Well, I think people that did not engage on a regular basis always thought it was always in private. But those of us that engaged on a regular basis, I used to have a necklace with a little silver thing on it. My coke was in it. So I would be on the dance floor and just open it up and pull it and do it right. People were busy dancing and not paying me any attention. Or they were also in the coke and, give me a hit. So it's not...
You were sharing?
With some people.
Oh, okay.
See, that wasn't supposed to be a question. But I'm saying I know
that shit is expensive.
but see, I wasn't paying for it.
Oh.
And that goes to something else, talking about sugar daddy. But anyway, the thing is, I think it's the same. What now is there are new drugs. A lot of them are synthetic drugs. And I think that has changed the dynamic. We knew about cocaine, of course, alcohol, marijuana, and heroin. And then these other things came into play. And I remember I totally got off of everything when I started saying to my friends, what was the one before crack? It was something before crack that had people totally fucked up.
All I remember is like LSD.
No, I didn't mess with the LSD. No, that was another one. It was a cheap drug. I can't think of it. It'll come to me. But the people were losing their lives behind it.
That the one that they would hallucinate.
They would get towed up in the club, take all their clothes off. I guess they got hot on the inside. I can't think of the name of it.
Right.
And I believe this. I better leave this shit alone, but I kept doing the coke. I stopped doing coke when I had to pay for it myself. When I went to buy the first 8-ball and he told me how much it was, I said, I'll be back. And I kept going. Before that, somebody was paying for it. So it was, it was readily available. But it was available in a lot of places. In and out of that church community. In and out of that entertainment community. It wasn't that hidden. It wasn't.
And I want to touch on the mental health. That's changed drastically because back in the day we didn't talk about mental health.
No,
you heard mental health. You crazy.
No, we didn't even use the term mental health. No, you were just crazy.
You were crazy, and if you were around family, they would try to beat it out of you. If you went to church, they would try to pray out of you. They lay your ass on the altar. We're going to pray and lay hands.
And they laying hands and been bruising you more than the people in the street.
And so I think that we're at a point now where education is more readily available and you should understand more. But I think people are more open to understanding it's not necessarily a mental illness. It's something that I need to process because somewhere along the line I was told something that was stigmatizing, and I now need help to remove that because I'm a great person, but I need to remove this barrier here so that I can be a better, greater person than I was.
And I think this generation is removing the stigma around going to therapy.
Yes.
We didn't go to therapy. Oh, that's a waste of money. We didn't. And plus, in the generation before me, we didn't have money for mental health. You didn't go to the doctor unless your arm was hanging off, because you walked it off, or you took an aspirin or take a BC powder and drink that Coca-Cola, and you'd be all right. Go lay down.
Coke, you're going to have that ginger ale, because ginger ale solved everything.
Ginger ale solved everything, and then they were going to pray it away.
I was going to say, the mental health, we still have that conversation, and it's still a barrier when we talk about that at the OBA roundtable. So
it's a barrier.
Even with the OBAs, we're still having that conversation, and we bring up mental health. And we don't say, we're trying to move away from mental health to mental wellness. And when you still ask people, are you seeing a doctor? Now we're trying to use that term. Are you seeing a doctor to discuss your mental wellness? They still hesitate because I'm not sure if there's a stigma there. What is the mental wellness that I'm working with?
And why you hesitate?
We don't know. Yeah,
because it took a while for me to get into therapy. The VA sent me to therapy. And then I was telling Joe on the way over, I was going to these support groups. And I went to my therapist and told her, I'm not going no more. And she said, why? You want me to sit up and talk about my issues in a group of heterosexual men? And some of them I know are DL because of the way they look at me. I can't open up and be honest. And if I can't open up and be honest, how can I heal something I won't face?
Yes.
So that means I had a therapist even tell me, you have given me manufactured answers for over a year. I said, what do you mean, sister? I've read your file. You have a degree in psychology, don't you? I got mad and left the session. She done pulled my whole card. Bitch. But that goes back to what Joe was saying. That stigma attached to it.
It's stigma.
And then by me having that level of education behind me, I knew how to give her the answers that I thought she wanted. I did not face the fact that she's trying to give me the answers that I need. She can't give me an answer. I'm finally there in that space now. You can't give me an answer about my issue. You may create a safe space where I can talk about it, but I have to answer everything I put out there.
And see, I had a different response when I was talking with, I'm going to call it a mental doctor. When I was talking with the doctor, she made a comment, and I said, but you're crazy too. And I don't trust you because you're crazy. And you have the ability to write a script and lock me up because I may not get along with you.
Right.
And for me, that was something where I had a conversation with myself, but also with other people to say, you should vet your doctors. You should start asking questions. Absolutely. You need to find out, is an ulterior motive. I think, and I could be wrong, there are some doctors who have degrees in psychiatry and psychology that they're experts because they're borderline on that line. And if you push them, they're going to write a script for themselves.
Or they are book smart.
Yes.
And not people smart. And they have those, because I had to get rid of one because I knew they were judging me. I knew this man was judging me. And I just had to tell him, no, I'm not coming back. Because everything that I put out, I'm being judged by. His responses let me know that he had one of them old church backgrounds, and he was condemning me. And I just had to get up one day and I motherfucked him as I went down the hall.
He forgot the Hippocratic Oath.
But here's what I say. I motherfucked him as I went down the hall because, like you said, he did have the authority to have me locked up.
That's right. And that's the scary part.
So, so you touched on big points. I feel like you should always vet your therapist or like your mental health provider, just because you should think of it as like a relationship.
Absolutely.
This is a person that you're working with. It has to be a collaboration. So if you do feel like you're being judged by that person, then that's a real feeling. You know, don't second guess those internal intuitions that you have about someone. If you feel like someone's not understanding you, you know, it's okay to seek out another therapist or another person to find support from. I would say, so a good way to like a good search engine for to find a therapist that Psychology Today is a good website to start to find a therapist. Basically, you can filter for like your insurance, you can filter for demographic, racial, sexual orientation, licensure, all that kind of stuff. But it also gives you like a list of different therapists that you can kind of look at their profiles, look at their web pages, and so I just think that's a good place to start. But I do think it is a big thing to like find someone that works for you and that, you know, that makes you feel like this is a place where I feel accepted, I can grow, you know. Also do just want to add like I do feel like there's still a lot of stigma with mental health because people don't want to admit that there may be something that they need to change.
They need to change.
You know, it's not that something's wrong with you, it's just that the way you're navigating situations like is just not as it's not going to get you to your fullest potential, to the place you really want to be. It's just going to keep you going through these same cycles of behavior, you know, of meeting the same people.
And we have to, what you just said, we have to tell people, or people need to be educated around the fact that you do have the authority to hire and fire your doctors, period.
I went to 3 before I got the one I got now, and I love it.
Yeah.
It was, I used literally the website. I knew I wanted a black woman. I felt, because I wanted to feel comfortable. And I feel comfortable around black women. I knew I wanted her to be older. But I also knew that I wanted her to have like life experiences to where her olderness wasn't going to judge all my youngness. And so that was the first problem with the first one. I felt like she was motherly. She did give me what I was looking for in that aspect. But I felt like that the life experience was just so different that when I told her certain stuff, she was judging me because she had never experienced that. So the certain things I was saying or telling her, she was like, and I'm like, I don't want to come and pay to sit on your couch for you to judge me. I judge my own self.
And you're shut down in them situations. Because the therapist I have now, I've had 3 years. I just found out at my last session that she's a lesbian.
And that's kind of actually great.
No, it is, but the whole point is that this was somebody I built trust with because she listened and gave me feedback. And there was never any judgment in it. And I didn't realize till the other day when she had to leave, she said, I got to go pick up my wife. And I'm saying, yo. And then I called myself, okay, now you fixing to judge her.
I want to say thank you for sharing that Psychology Today because I really want to share that with the Overs because I think that would be very helpful for them. Because once again, that information is powerful. And although it's challenging for them to get on the phone and the internet, but we can work with that, you know. But I appreciate that information.
I also want to add just like one last thing. Look at what your doctor or clinician specializes in, and like their licensure education, because a lot of times they'll like a psychiatrist is completely different than a psychologist. A licensed counselor is completely different than a therapist, a social worker, all those types of things, but they all can provide therapy services. So just like being more intentional about like who's providing these services to you, because they're all going to approach it in a different way.
And what therapy you think you need.
Right, exactly.
From them to us, I just love that them sharing their life experiences can shape how we handle situations. So they've been through life. I'm going through life, but they've been here, done that, and sometimes hearing how they've been there and done that and experienced it and handled it can help me shape my life. And what they learned from me. This new stuff. This new stuff is everyday like water to us because like we're growing with it. So us sharing the new stuff with them is important. I don't know what the new stuff is, but the stuff be new.
So for me, I think something that I feel like that can be provided from our OBAs would be just life guidance outside of even just the lifestyle, because I think that's something that also gets young people caught up, is because we don't really learn all the ins and outs of how to navigate life in professional situations, unless we have somebody there to guide us in that way. I think we have to step outside of that identity. Yes, we all are gay, or we all are part of the LGBT community. But long story short, there's so much more to us as well as people. So just like really leaning into who that person is and trying to help them grow as a person and not just in that area. And something I think we can provide the older generation is, I would say honestly, grace and understanding, and just like realize that they may not understand, or they may not initially understand us or like where we're coming from or our experiences, because their experiences were completely different. So even just like that grace to have a conversation, to not get upset, to not prejudge, to just be open-minded, just be like, have a conversation and just be accepting.
I think I do have life experiences to share, because I'm not going to watch you head for a wall that I hit and wait for you to hit it and then ask you, did that hurt you as much as it hurt me? If I can impart some wisdom into you that will make you do a U-turn or just stop, I'm going to do that. Then if you hit that wall anyway, be there to offer you some shelter, a helping hand. For them, they make life relative for me. They keep me plugged into it. I don't have to accept what I call bullshit, just like they don't have to accept mine. But at least I know what's going on, I know what it's about, and they allow me to look at their lives, their experiences, without judgment and condemning, because I always remember when I was being judged and condemned. So they remind me of that.
I'm going to say Ty, too, nailed it. Grace should be extended both ways, because that's very important. I think that there's a learning opportunity that's bidirectional, and when you extend grace, that allows that opportunity to take place. Because each person has something to provide, irrespective of your age.
Yeah, and it's an even exchange when you look at it that way. It's more than just bridging the gap.
Right.
It's putting a puzzle in its rightful place.
Right.
And understanding. I know who I am. I know what I bring. But I also know there's a part of his life I don't need to be in. And I'm okay with that. And that mutual respect comes when you understand we all have value.
Yes.